I'm going to do a demo today illustrating how to do a still life painting with a cool light, which would create typically warm shadows. It's a little bit harder, I think, for us to consider rather than the warm light, cool shadows that we kind of automatically associate with, especially when doing landscapes. But there are situations even in the landscape where you do have a cool light, for example, a very cloudy day, or perhaps late in the evening, deep shade. So there are times when it is important to know how to see which type of lighting situation you are working in, what the temperatures of the different colors are that you want to work with. I am going to start this with some transparent colors, because the transparent colors, when used as the layout or the underlying colors, do not muddy up or blend with the colors as you start to layer over top of them. So that will be one step that I will begin with. I'm going to be working from a small study of floral that I painted a few years ago. It's going to be interesting to sort of follow along with this, in part because the still life really has kind of a warm light source, but we're going to kind of adjust it as we go along. So let's see how everything goes. This is the painting study that I'm going to be working from, loosely translated. I'm not going to try and paint exactly like this or the same thing, but just kind of giving more a generalized illustration on how to get those color temperatures with your mixtures. These are some of the colors that I have laid out on my palette. As you can see, I am not a minimalist when it comes to color, and I even like to keep a big puddle of what I call my palette puddles, which are my leftover paint from the last painting that I did. I scrape it off and I store it and keep it fresh for as long as I can, and use it for some of my gray mixtures. I have titanium white, bright yellow from Richardson. I have 3 different yellows in here. The yellow that I will be starting with is this one in the middle. That is transparent yellow oxide, and that will give me just a nice sort of glow and help me establish that warmer background or shadow area. I have a few different reds here, including a quinacridone rose by Rembrandt, and transparent red oxide, also a Rembrandt, and an olive green here on the bottom center. That is also a Rembrandt. Those are all transparent colors as well that I like to work with. I have some other blue mixtures, a dioxane purple, and up in the corner there I have color that I don't use a lot of, but it's kind of new for me, indigo. It's almost a black, but it has a cooler blue tone to it, and I can mix it with other things to keep a very dark black that is a lot more interesting than just an ivory black or tube black. So you know, at any given time I may switch out different colors. I do like to work with a variety of different colors. So just to give you a start. And this is the little canvas panel that I'm going to be working on. It is just a little panel that I have mounted myself, a piece of scrap oil prime deluxe linen from Centurion onto a piece of gator board, and they make nice lightweight little panels. So okay, begin with a medium-sized brush. I like to work with silver bristle bright brushes. This is a number 4. And I am going to do my layout with this transparent yellow oxide. And I will use that pretty straight, other than diluting it down with a little bit of mineral spirits as needed. This will actually kind of give me, and I got a little bit of blue on my canvas here too when I was laying out my paint, so just ignore that. I'm not the tidiest painter. I get paint everywhere. Okay. Transparent yellow oxide. I kind of do sort of almost a linear path first of my layout, and box in my primary shapes. This canvas is also a different shape than the painting that I am sort of taking this from, so we'll be making some adjustments as I go along. But this is giving me some idea of where the movement is going to be and where my primary flowers are at here. The direction that they will kind of face. Thinking in terms of almost sort of an S shape composition. This doesn't have to be real exacting, or it can be more exacting depending on just how much you rely upon your initial drawing to get accuracy in your shapes. So some sort of guidelines sketched in there to give myself a sense of my volume to my shape. Help me with my drawing as well as with the layout, the perspective. Be careful here because I'm trying to fill a little bit more space. I want some of these objects to kind of overlap, which means I'm going to have to kind of adjust the way my composition is from my original. Suggested shapes there. Okay, I'm going to actually start to fill it in now, almost like a value study, using my transparent yellow oxide. I'm obviously not going to get any real darks with this mixture, but I will add those once I start filling in some of the rest of the painting. Right now I want to keep things fairly transparent, fairly loose, and I don't want to get too dark with this initial layout, so that way I don't muddy up anything that I try to paint on top of it. I can actually get different variations of the value just by how thick or thin I apply this transparent paint, and this is just one color of many that you can use to create your transparent underpainting. Sometimes, lots of times, I like to work with ultramarine blue. It makes a really nice, beautiful, cool layout, but particularly because I'm doing this more as a cool, light, warm shadow, I wanted to start with a warm transparent underneath that. Another warm transparent that works well for layout is transparent red oxide, but I wanted something that was a little bit lighter and had a little bit more of a golden glow to it. for my flowers in this particular setup. Sometimes you can just leave this transparent background alone in some places. Or you can cover it over with an opaque color as you go along. The nice thing about transparent colors is they do tend to fall back, and your opaque colors will pull forward, so you can get that volume and perspective sometimes just by working with your transparent versus opaque colors. Okay, I think I've got that everywhere that I want it, and as you can see, I've kept my shapes just very basic, very loose. I just kind of created sort of a negative here of my final painting, where my background is all blocked in and all I have in the foreground is just those negative shapes. And we'll take a minute's break here. Okay, I see that I had cropped off the bit of my canvas when I was working there, so I've tried to move that up and give you a better view of the whole canvas. Hopefully that will continue to work. I swear it's as challenging trying to do a video of your painting as it is to do the painting. Okay, I'm going to continue to fill in my shapes with some transparent colors because I want to create almost a rich glow underneath these flowers. I am going to use transparent or quinacridone rose, which is a transparent. It's just really a beautiful color if you like sort of pinky purples. And I'm going to continue just sort of blocking in some of those shapes using this other color. Still keeping it very loose, and this will all, there'll be other variations to these colors as we go along. I'm even going to allow some of that transparent yellow to sort of blend in with some of the edges in the background here to create better volume. Trying to also consider clusters and clumping rather than having everything kind of set apart in the painting. This creates a better sense of composition in your painting and movement, eye movement, and helps to sort of block in your composition a bit. So one of the nice things about these transparency is I can actually sort of create designs and patterns within the paint itself just by how I lay it out and work it. So I'm almost going to start here creating a little bit of some of the shape. These are mums, so they've kind of got just kind of a scattered shape of petals. Spider mums, maybe, I think they might be. Not too much detail, but enough to sort of give you some description of what I'm painting, and this again is only just sort of a preliminary. But it continues to give me a sense of where I'm going to with my painting ultimately. I have some strawberries down here on the tabletop, which I'm also going to put in with that red, or quinacridone rose actually. And again, I'm going to put this one kind of separate, but I'm actually thinking about, you know, those kind of grouping together too, so everything isn't too separate there. Don't have a dash of this, a dot of that, and hopping all over the canvas. You actually get a nice flow happening. Okay, I think that's all that I want for that transparent on those flower colors. I'm going to now switch over to a transparent green and basically do the same thing with any leaf areas. And I'm going to start with this olive green by Rembrandt, which is a transparent. It is very dark, so it will give me some of my darkest areas of foliage. But because it's transparent, again, I can work it to create sort of different variations of that value within the green itself. It's going to be mixing with some of that transparent yellow oxide on the canvas, which continues to give me my warm shadows, which is kind of a easy way to achieve that without losing that. Foliage is a great way to create an eye path in a floral painting. I like to use like ivy or some type of almost a vine sometimes to sort of pull the viewer's eye around in circles and through the painting with the way that the foliage is set. A fun way to do it. Okay, as I said, that's very dark. That's the darker parts of my foliage in the leaves, or in the leaves. Let's see here. This shape here is going to connect my flowers with what's happening on the tabletop. My strawberries have a little greenery around them as well, which helps to tie them in. I want to overlap a little bit of that so that I give it's an opportunity again to give a sense of depth and dimension in my painting, where I'm overlapping the foliage to the objects. Keeping it pretty loose, pretty abstract. Okay, that might be all that I'm going to lay in for, no, I'm going to put some green down here around the bottom so that we also tie this bottom corner in with what's happening throughout the rest of the painting. This is a little jam jar down here in the corner. Okay, I think maybe that's all for that dark green color. Now, my jam jar is a blue, and so I'm going to start with the transparent ultramarine blue. going to mix with it a little bit of transparent red oxide so I get a warmer tone, but it still is transparent. That's a bit too dark there. I can get it lighter just by thinning it out. Too brown there. And keep working at it till we get what we want. Sometimes when you're working in a straight line or a rounded shape, a ellipse, it is easier to get accuracy if you actually do it in sort of straight line shape. So boom, 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 rather than trying to get it in one arching curve. That sometimes will help with your drawing. Okay, and now on the vase is white with some blue on it. Let's see how complicated I want to get on this little study, but I am actually going to go back to that yellow, transparent yellow oxide for getting in the shadow sides of that white vase. White is a cool color, so anytime you start to introduce white into your painting, you are going to be cooling the color off. Let's see, we've got a nice start going here. You know what, I'm laying this flat so that I can videotape it better for you, but I've got to look at it upright a second so I can see if I'm getting my drawing correct. If I look at it laying down, I could very easily get sort of distorted lines and shapes. Okay, it doesn't look too bad. I do want some real dark underneath where this rests on the tabletop, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in with some transparent color also. I want a soft edge on this that leads up into the vase because the vase rounds away. Also on the strawberries where they are laying right down on that tabletop, we're going to have some dark in there. My light source is coming pretty straight on. Kind of a little bit from, kind of coming in a little bit like this. Okay, I'm going to put in a little bit of this opaque color here. Well, it won't be too opaque. It's cobalt blue, which is actually also pretty transparent, but not as transparent as the ultramarine blue is. So, and I'm going to be adding some white into that, which will make it more opaque and cool it off. Just getting a suggestion here. Getting a little bit of the volume and the shape in there, but not getting too fussy. This is not where I want your focus to be, and this is not either all the work that's going to be done on this, so let me just get a start on it. I think that's about all I want to get for that for starters. That needs to be a little bit more, a little darker right over in here. Alright, a lot of that shape is just going to be kind of lost as we start to paint. We don't want to get too detailed on that. Okay, correcting my drawing a little bit. Definitely easier to get your drawing if you're on an easel upright rather than laying down on a table. Just as a suggestion for anybody that likes to work on a tabletop. Alright, now I'm going to kind of get some of the cooler color in on that white vase, which again will be where the light is hitting it. And this is going to be kind of more an underpainting. The edge to be soft. I don't want your eye to be drawn around to that edge. As it curves around here, it does have a little bit more shadow to it, so I'm going back to my transparent yellow oxide there. Drawing your brush across your shape sometimes will help you keep a good shape the way that it needs to be. I have a little bit of red that's kind of bouncing down into the vase here, so I'm going to add that a minute. Pretty light touch on that. That will be also covered up in part when I start putting in the opaque layers of my vase. Still able to create a certain volume and shape just by pushing that transparent color around. Okay, so what I'm going to do with that, again I'm going to pick that up and see if I've got that drawing correct. I think it's good for now. I'm going to focus in on a couple of my primary flowers here. And start getting some volume in those. Color that I am going to use to begin with is going to still be that quinacridone rose, but I'm going to be adding some white to it, and as soon as I add white to it, it cools it off. So it lightens it and cools it off. And now this is going to be my suggestion of where the light is hitting those petals. And I want the light to be hitting this petal down here also.